Welcome everybody to the Lions finals of Behes June online round, the last round before we finally get to Behes, the national finals. We have two teams, L8 and L10. They'll be debating against each other on the motion. Resolve that sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. L8 will be debating for the motion and L10 will be debating against the motion. Speaker 1 of proposition, Avni, you may begin with your speech. Also, before you begin, Shrishti, it's over to you now. Please
Yeah,
give the debaters a warning at 3 and 4 minutes through chat message.
I'll do that.
Okay, lovely. Go ahead, Bhavni.
Thank you. Good afternoon, respected adjudicator, fellow teammates, and my very worthy opponents. I am the first speaker from Team Proposition with the motion for the debate being that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which my team and I very strongly agree with. Let me take this opportunity as the first speaker to define the motion, which is a very important saying a lot of us have heard in our childhood. A physical attack may injure a person, but a verbal attack cannot be as injurious. In this context, sticks and stones refers to physical violence which can bring harm to you and cause bruises. Words, on the other hand, refers to single distinct meaningful elements of speech or writing used to form our sentences. Let me begin by introducing a very strong point that words are not what hurt us. Rather, it is the emotions associated with the words we speak or hear which pierce our heart. Words are solely, and I repeat, solely a medium of communication and a medium of expression. They represent the emotions that we hold in our thoughts. I would like to quote a very famous saying which says, words don't have the power to hurt you unless the person who said them means a lot to you. Physical violence, on the other hand, is pain we cannot control. The injuries and bruises we feel are not voluntary or in our hands. The impact of words, however, can be controlled if we have the mental stability to do so. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring another point to the floor, which is that hurt from words are just a learning experience. In essence, we learn from the times someone has insulted us or bad-mouthed us. We move on from such mere instances with a much stronger frame of mind, rather than feeling inferior to others. Physical pain is not something you can essentially learn from each time. Emotional pain is something that we can be resilient towards over time, but physical pain is much, much harder to do so. Take domestic violence, for example. Is what one partner does to another hurt more, or what one partner says to another partner hurt more? Conveniently, this question can be answered by simply realizing the fact that when you go file a case in the Supreme Court, you report the person for physical violence and not the words which have been spoken. The opposition might argue that words can leave you scarred mentally or psychologically forever. I wish to ask you, what about physical violence, which can actually lead to severe mental health problems like chronic depression and anxiety? Take any violent protest, for example, like the Tottenham protests, the Birmingham civil rights protest, or the Soweto uprising. Were security forces like the police involved because of the words on the posters and slogans on the pieces of paper, or because people were using arms and guns to convey their point? Opposition, isn't this enough proof that violence does a lot more damage, especially in the long run? Words are therefore simply the bridge between our thoughts and our way of physically showcasing them. The process cannot hurt as much as the outcome. The words cannot hurt as much as the violence we provoke. I would like to conclude by saying that in truth, words don't hurt. They are only words. The words cannot live without us feeding them with our thoughts. Without thoughts put behind them, words mean nothing, while physical violence can leave us physically bruised forever. I end my speech by once again reiterating that a physical attack may injure me, but a verbal attack will not injure me to the same way or to the same extent. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavni. The opposition now gets a minute to prepare.
No, I'm ready to go.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay. So, verbal abuse reveals the disrespect that fuels it, no matter how many apologies follow. I am Siona Balawat of the team Parliament of PRS. The motion before the House today is that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I will be speaking against the motion. Proposition says words won't be as effective. We're here to prove it wrong. The interpretation here is that the physical abuse does not affect, but does affect, sorry, but words do not. And it's insane how many gray areas follow this phrase. Words hurt someone mentally. Mental pain is more severe and painful than physical pain. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can hurt you too. Words can affect one's self esteem and self respect. A new study suggests merely saying that this may hurt a bit before receiving a shot may be enough to trigger a pain response in the brain long before any actual pain is felt. Researchers found hearing words that describe pain, such as excruciating or grueling, activated the areas of the brain that process the corresponding sensation. These findings show that words alone are capable of activating our pain matrix. And while physical bruises may go away with time, mental stay on forever. Let's move on talking about words that tear you completely down. It is not necessarily physical blows that are the most harmful. Words can reduce a person's self esteem to next to nothing in an instant. Text messages that tell you that nobody cares about you or that no one likes you because of the way you look are hard to the face. The damage can last for years. Maybe they were actually meant as a joke. Maybe the person sending them was together with some friends when he wrote it and was pressured into it. Maybe several other people share the same opinion and someone feels like she or he deserves to know it. But these, dear people, are just hollow excuses. We're not just talking about words that take the form of death threats. We're not just talking about bullying. We're talking about harsh, judgmental words that you and I can easily let slip out without thinking. Words that can hurt, harm, make someone feel insecure or excluded. That is never ever right. But my dear proposition, is it possible to erase words? Words do not disappear. They continue to exist from the moment you say them. And let me shout this out. The biblical teaching, session 11, James 3 to 1, 12. Our words can be especially damaging when misleading words lead to others into sinful attitudes and behavior, when destructive words poison relationships, when hypocritical words come out from the same mouth. Now, I would like to conclude by saying that I've listed enough points to prove that the motion must fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Proposition, you get a minute to prepare. Speaker 2 from proposition, please come up.
Thank you, Chair. May I begin?
Yes, please.
No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Theodore Roosevelt. Good afternoon, respected adjudicators and my worthy opponents. I am the second speaker from Team Proposition with the motion of debate being that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which my team and I are strongly in support of. As we've already stated with the first speaker of the proposition, it is important to remember words only have the power that we give them. Words are the vehicles to drive emotional responses out of all of us, whether conscious or subconscious. Thus, words itself are mediums of communication, but expression is of an emotion. It is the feelings attached with those words that actually hurt the human being. If you imagine yourself in a situation where you're insulted with the use of words, it is not the words itself that hurt you, but the feelings attached with that which make you doubt about your image in the other person's mind and your perception in society. It is all based around the game of prejudice, ladies and gentlemen. As per studies by the WHO, nearly 1 out of every 7 children in the world face depression and other mental illnesses, accounting for 13% of the global burden of this disease in the age group. Now, what is the cause, you may ask? I quote, the cause of depression can arise from multiple ties, which can be linked back to traumatic experiences and the feelings involved within them. Thus, since words can only act as a bridge between feelings and one's biological chemistry, they are truly, in fact, powerless. To rebut some of the preposterous points mentioned by the first speaker of the team opposition, it is ironic that the speaker seems to agree with the arguments made by the proposition. To quote the speaker, words are used to provide emotional and mental harm to the human brain. This is misinterpreted as emotional and mental harm to the human brain. Our both continue to prove that words themselves are not responsible for provoking these emotions and mental harm, but rather just a pathway to these. It is indeed human psychology itself that is the cause of harm. Hence, in conclusion, words only act as a bridge for us, not the legs that actually cross one's bridge. In contrary to the physical harm brought upon by injuries, which stands as a trivial case of actual harm being caused, it is feelings that actually drive the pain in words rather than any meaning, making them truly worthless. Robert Fulghum was correct in stating that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And hence the motion should stand, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Opposition, you have a minute to prepare.
Uh, Actually, adjudicator, I would like to start.
Please do.
If you could give me a countdown, please.
Sure. So guys, everybody has Raja coming on in 3, 2, and 1. Go.
Verbal abuse is still abuse. It is abuse in the form of words. Don't assume that a few words won't cost them their life. Words hurt. Good afternoon to my respected adjudicator, my honorable opponents, and my wonderful team. I'm Aradhya Ojha representing the Parliament of Fearless, and today the motion is sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me. And today, we as a team oppose this motion. First of all, let us get familiar with this topic. The first half of this topic focuses on the fact that physical abuse causes pain, misery, and death. This statement is absolutely true, as each and every person is able to feel physical pain, and it may cause death and misery. It brings upon mental guilt to the performer in some or the other way and brings along a wave of mental confusion, rage, and misery to the victim. I do not, and I repeat, do not say that it does not hurt, but verbal abuse or sentences can bring along feelings worse than that of physical abuse. Saying that, let us move on to the second half of this motion. This symbolizes the fact that harsh words coming from the mouth of a person can never be harmful and can never bring mental pain, confusion, or misery. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that this part of the motion is completely opposed by us as a team. Pain caused by words is far more than that by physical means, not physically, but mentally. Although you may recover from physical injuries, your mental pain and misery eats you up from the inside. Thus, any smart person would hurt his or her victim mentally, as the feelings caused by this would lead to the victim being completely helpless and may even cause him or her to take his or her own life. Furthermore, my honorable opposition might say that you can always ignore words. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, verbal abuse and harsh words directed to you, your community, or your family can never ever be ignored. It causes anger, confusion, misery, and mental distress inside you, thus making things far worse. Now, let us take the example of the LGBTQ group. This is a group of people who have been both physically and mentally been abused throughout the world just because of their lifestyle choices and their romantic interests. And you know what? The verbal abuses hurt more according to their showcase of feelings on news channels. Thus, I would like to say, however much the physical abuse might hurt, the verbal pain is far worse. I now feel that I've stated enough points to oppose the given motion, and I would like to conclude by stating that the motion must and must fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last speaker from proposition, you have a minute to prepare. The final speaker from proposition, if you could please come up.
Sure, ma'am. Could you give me a countdown to begin?
All right, everyone. Here's Advir Kapuria in 3, 2, and 1. Go.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Good morning, respected adjudicator, my fellow teammates, and my worthy opponents. I am the third speaker from Team Proposition, and the motion we are debating on is that sticks and stone may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which my team and I strongly support. And this is because, as my first speaker very rightly defined at the very inception of this debate, words are mere vessels of self expression. They are the medium through which already existing thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sentiments are expressed. Words themselves, ladies and gentlemen, are completely hollow. An appropriate analogy would be that words are like a ship. Ships are manipulated, controlled, and operated by their captain. The captain dictates the direction of the ship and who and how the ship attacks someone and everything else about this. Much like this, as defined by the proposition side, throughout the debate, words are just a medium of carrying feelings and emotions and sentiments. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not the word that hurts us, it is the emotion behind it. We are not hurt when someone says they hate us, team opposition, but instead by the fact that someone feels towards us that way on the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition speeches have constantly used redundant arguments to oppose this reasonable motion. But let me tell you, hurt is described not by me, but the dictionary and recognized by the world over as, I quote, physical pain or injury. Team opposition, unless a word can magically transform into a bullet, then this alone is enough in proving that the motion before the house must stand. But I will
Adivir,
pause for further
if
strength.
you could pause for a second. Shrishti was like Shrishti was
I
disconnected from the
was,
meeting. So
yeah,
yeah.
and I've got connected now, and I think I just missed a 30-second part.
So it's your choice, Adivir, if you want to start your speech from the start, or do you want to just repeat two, 3 points?
I'll
It's
start
your
from the
call.
beginning.
Sorry?
I'll start from the beginning, ma'am.
From the beginning, do
All
you
right.
need a minute?
I'm fine, ma'am.
You're fine? Cool.
Yes.
Go ahead. All the best.
Thank you. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Good morning, respected adjudicator, my fellow teammates, and my worthy opponents. I'm the third speaker from Team Proposition, and the motion we are debating on is that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which my team and I very strongly support. And this is because, as my first speaker very rightly defined at the very inception of this debate, words are mere vessels of self expression. They are the medium through which already existing thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sentiments are expressed. Words themselves, ladies and gentlemen, are hollow on their own. An appropriate analogy would be that words are like a ship. Ships are manipulated, controlled, and operated by their captain. The captain dictates the direction the ship moves on, who and how the ship attacks, and everything else about this. Much like this, as defined by the proposition side throughout the course of the debate, words are merely a medium of carrying feelings, emotions, and sentiments. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not the word that hurts us, it is the emotion behind it. We are not hurt when someone says they hate us. We are hurt by the fact that someone feels that way toward us on the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition speeches have constantly used redundant arguments to oppose this reasonable motion. But let me tell you, hurt is described not by me, but the dictionary itself and recognized by the world over as, I quote, physical pain or injury. Team opposition, unless a word can magically transform into a bullet, then this alone is enough in proving that the motion before the hand house must stand. But I will go ahead and further strengthen this stance. Speaker one of the opposition mentioned that words cause pain. Let me tell you, team opposition, in fact, let science tell you. In medicine, pain is defined as, and I quote, a signal of physical injury to the body, hence proving your point completely null and void. I'd also like to take this opportunity to explain to the opposition side the difference between abuse and hurt. Team opposition, your entire argument revolves around the common mistake of using these words as interchangeable synonyms. Abuse is the act of misusing a power as described by the dictionary, whereas hurt itself is physical injury. Team opposition, verbal abuse does not translate into hurt. Furthermore, the entire concept of communication, ladies and gentlemen, on another note, is built on the fundamentals of perspective and of opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, right? People control how they view and react to certain situations. Human stimuli, biology is based on that. You must have heard the saying, haters gonna hate and players gonna play. It is what life is. The evolution of life itself teaches us that life goes on and so do we. We move on. The only thing that matters is what we feel about ourselves, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it is not what someone else says or thinks about us, but what we ourselves feel that truly matters. Because no one is going to be there for us in the long run, in the future. It's only going to be ourselves. And yet again, the second speaker of the opposition had misinterpreted this motion. And we have already stated and continue to prove that words themselves are not the cause of provoking emotions or causing mental harm, but rather just a pathway. It is indeed the human psychology itself that is the cause for this harm, and the feelings, not the words themselves, team opposition. Self esteem, ladies and gentlemen, in this ever changing, greedy world, we need to be reliant on ourselves. Thus, we are taught from a young age to block out the white noise and listen to our heart, because at the end of the day, it is our life and we owe it to ourselves to live it to the fullest. Hence, words do not hurt us, team opposition, because the fact of the matter which you are failing to understand is that they simply do not matter. The problem in the word team opposition is not that African Americans are verbally abused. It is that people think they're not equal to whites. It's the ideology, the belief. Team opposition, in contrast to what you mentioned, the problem is not that LGBTQ people are discriminated against verbally. It is that people make them to feel inferior with their body language, with their thought process, with their actions, team opposition, with their actions. Ladies and gentlemen, India was under British rule for decades, but we did not deter due to the words. As my first speaker rightly said, the sticks they hit us with physically hurt us, yes. The guns and the shootings, they physically hurt us too, but their words only made us stronger. When someone defines your limits for you, it serves as motivation to prove them wrong. It acts like a fuel to our desire. Ladies and gentlemen, a heartbreak does not hurt us, it teaches us. It molds us into smarter people, so that we are stronger next time, so that we know how to react to a particular situation. They make us stronger, team opposition. They help us grow. They're a learning curve. And this is the point our side has been trying to make since the beginning of the debate, but you have chosen to oppose this extremely logical motion. Freedom fighters adjudicated. They were shot at, hit, and yes, that hurt. But the words that the oppressors said, they motivated those freedom fighters. They sparked a flame and made that flame grow. That is what makes us stronger. That is what makes humanity evolve. And well, experiences like you have mentioned, team opposition, are in fact just learning curves. They teach us what to expect from people and how to improve ourselves accordingly, making us better version of ourselves, changing the world around us, helping the world grow. Ladies and gentlemen, words are futile on their own. The proposition side has made it completely clear why this motion must stand before the House, because emotions and acts of depicting the same hurt us. Yes. And while these occurrences of the words that you mentioned constantly, the words just serve as factors of motivation that make us learn from our experiences and grow into better people. And this is why the motion before the House must stand.
All right, thank you, Adivir. We just left with one last speaker from team opposition who gets a minute to prepare.
Ma'am, can I start?
Yes, please.
Ask a child who has been humiliated by their parents if words never hurt. Ask the LGBTQ community, whom people subjected to taunts, shunning, and rejection if words never hurt. Ask victims of chronic pain or mental illness who are told, just get over it if words never hurt. Ask someone who has just been told, I don't love you, I'm leaving you for someone else if words never hurt. Ask a young student who has been told by a teacher or trusted adult, you will never amount to anything if words never hurt. And lastly, ask members of the marginalized groups if taunts and insults never hurt. Good afternoon, respected adjudicators, boys and girls. I am Drishti Agarwal, Speaker 3 of the opposition, here to win with my words. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to the debate, which is all happening in the first place because of impact of words. Ladies and gentlemen, the word here today stands where it is because of the fact that words are and took place on this piece of land called Earth. The motion calls to resolve that words are not heavy and they do not carry any weightage important enough to impact human minds. We highly do not resolve the motion. Words have an almost supernatural kind of power. Superficially, they are nothing but sound waves moving through the air or markings on a page, but they have the power to convey meaning and they can affect people profoundly. Empty rumors can destroy a person's reputation and make them lose their position. The words of a bully can drive a person to suicide. Words carry an immense inherent strength, which reasoned with the human emotions so perfectly that words give life to even the deadliest and mundane of things. Words are the reason that literature survives. Therefore, confidently say that it's impossible for any human conscience to avoid the power of words and its impact on his or her life. Moving on to my rebuttals. Second speaker of proposition mentioned, and I quote, words help us to let out our feelings. And that, ladies and gentlemen, itself proves how words can be used to hurt someone. Second speaker also contradicted himself by first mentioning that words provoke our feelings. Speaker, you have been contradicting your own points time and again. You mentioned what hurt means according to the Oxford Dictionary. Well, there's an angle to the motion the proposition side failed to explore. I would like to deconstruct this argument by saying that I would like to point that out that you have stated an incomplete meaning of by the Oxford Dictionary. The complete meaning of hurt is make someone feel physical or mental pain, injure them or cause them unhappiness. Thus, your argument of words or hurt does not make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, the wounds given by the stones and sticks might be cured within a span of some months or maybe decades, but the dent that words reflect on a person's mind will never be. Take an example of an abused boy. We tied him onto a chair and hurt him by hitting him for 20 times. Then we brought up his past and abused him with words he wished to never hear again. The mental trauma was clearly worse than the physical one. Sticks and stones can never break bones. Words make someone believe that they have no value as a human being. There's a lot more destructive. Bones heal, self esteem doesn't. Those words used at the wrong place at a wrong timing would haunt the person mentally for all the moments that he will survive. Insults and taunts in the form of words create a mental anomaly. The prosthetics to replace the wounded limb or hand, but one can never replace a soul which is wounded by harsh words. As we say, the soul survives. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the team opposition strongly condemning the resolution with the power of words. I rest my case here. The motion must fall. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Drishti. This brings us to the end of the Lions finals. Muskan, would you like to take over?
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining in. All the audiences, there's been a poll going on who is going to win the round in the live chats. We really appreciate the engagement. All right. Uh, Everybody, we request you to join back for the closing ceremony. Right here, the time will be posted on the group in next 2 minutes. And yeah, it was a great tournament. I hope everybody of you had fun. All right.